What's going on, Notre Dame fans? I'm Tyler Horka. That's Jack Sobel. We are outside of Notre Dame Stadium for the second day in a row. That's when you know that Notre Dame football season is basically here, because we are here on campus covering practices, press conferences, and that's what we did today. Saw about 30 minutes of practice, 10 minutes of stretching or so, and then 4 or 5 minute periods. We'll talk about some of that stuff at the end. But the more pressing issue of the day, I would say, is we got to talk to offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, quarterbacks coach Gino Guidugli. CJ Carr was upstairs with the media, as well as Kenny Minchey. I talked to Kenny Minchey, so I'll get into some of the things that he said. But go to blueandgold.com later on today and through the weekend for CJ Carr and some of those other things, because Eric Hansen, Tyler James, they were with some of the other guys that we weren't able to get to. But Jack, you were upstairs talking to some of these guys as well. What'd you kind of take away from the presser?
Yeah, so I asked Gino Guidugli about kind of the interceptions that the quarterbacks threw yesterday, and he stressed, like, this is something that all football coaches will tell you, is that, like, interceptions in practice aren't necessarily the worst thing in the world, because practice is for testing your limits. It's like what you can and can't get away with, that kind of thing. Then he asked Kenny Minchey about that as well, like, because you have to strike a balance. Like, you want to be efficient and look good, but also you want to test your limits like that, and it's harder to do when it's a competition. So it's kind of the yin and yang of what the quarterbacks are trying to do here. But the bottom line is, like, the coaches don't see, like, interceptions thrown and be like, okay, this guy out of here. It's like, what matters is how you respond, and Gino Guidugli said that they responded very well to that. You also asked both Gino and Mike Denbrock if there's any reason Kenny Minchey can't win this job, and they said emphatically no.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm going to get at blueandgold.com. Look for that story later. Is if you're online, you're watching this, you're probably on maybe our message board. If you're not, definitely go subscribe to blueandgold.com. But if you're on Twitter or whatever else, there's a "Why Not Kenny" mantra floating out there, and it's actually been a thing for a while. And I asked them, why not Kenny? And they said, what do you mean, why not Kenny? There's no reason that this could not be Kenny Minchey's job. And then you ask Kenny, he's like, you know what, I stay off of social media. If somebody sent me that, I probably just wouldn't answer the question. But he was actually asked in a different way, like, why Kenny Minchey in 2025? Why could this be your job? And he said that he thinks he's the best quarterback in college football. He said, I'm the best quarterback in America. So confidence, like we haven't really heard Kenny Minchey exude before, because he's reserved by nature. Gino Guidugli today said if he was running into a fire, he probably wouldn't blink. His heart rate wouldn't rise. Like, that's just kind of who he is. But emphatically, he says, yeah, I'm the guy, not just at Notre Dame, but in all of college football. So that remains to be seen, though, because, Jack, another thing that I heard in these press conferences today was Mike Denbrock straight up saying it was kind of a catastrophic day on that first day in terms of the turnovers. He used that word a few times, actually. But then on the flip side of that, kind of what you were getting at, Gino Guidugli said, I don't trip over practice. And then I asked him a follow-up. I said, when do you start tripping, or what would make you trip? And he said, I don't trip over much of anything, so I'm definitely not going to trip over practice. So long story short there, Jack, I think there's a long way to go in this quarterback competition, but I also think part of that is because it is very 50-50. It might be CJ Carr, it might be Kenny Minchey.
There's absolutely a long way to go, and again, like, we did not get a definitive answer in practice the other day. Like, I don't think either quarterback was necessarily better than the other, even though Carr did have three picks, Minchey had one. There's obviously a lot of context.
There's nuance
required.
Yeah.
There's nuance and context required around that fact. Today we didn't really get to see much. They were throwing some routes on air. They were throwing some deep balls, and they missed a couple, but it kind of looked like they were trying to be too precise by design. Like, you always have to take practice drills with a grain of salt, because you never know what they could actually be trying to drill. It looked like they were really trying to hit that fine point between, it was like a fade towards the corner of the end zone, like between the sideline and the hypothetical safety deep. They missed a couple, but that's okay. I suspect they were just trying to drill that in. What else we saw in practice? It wasn't a ton, but we did see some individual drills.
Yeah, I watched the defense, he watched the offense, so he gave you the quarterback tidbits there. I'll let him think about maybe some of the other position groups that he saw. Actually, I don't know if you saw this on the offense, but Charles Jagasaw, very involved. I don't know how much you watch the offensive line. He's like coaching these guys, and he's not in any sort of brace for that arm. He does have the affected arm covered up, so you can't really physically see all that was entailed in that UTV accident, but he's present, accounted for, he's out there. If you listen to Marcus Freeman the other day talking about Charles Jagasaw, they think the world of him. You listen to Mike Denbrock, it was a lot of the same today. They said, hey, unfortunate accident, he'll be back. And it's not even really that he'll be back. He's still here, he's still present. So I thought that was pretty cool on the offense. Defensively, Al Washington, Max Bola, I could watch those guys coach their respective position groups all day. I will shout out two individual players that I think just look a little different this year. Jaden Osbury looks as put together as I've seen him in a Notre Dame uniform. And then Boubacar Traore, with the knee, I swear he must have been really building up that upper body, because holy cow, the thing with Boubacar the last couple of off seasons, right, is he's twitchy. He's going to get around guys because he's just a little faster. He's a little quicker. I think he still has that, but I think he has strength now too, and you can really see that. Like, we didn't see it in competitive periods on the first day of practice because he was held out of those a little bit, but you watch him in these individual drills, and I'm like, that is a strong dude in addition to all that quickness. So those two guys stood out, and then those two coaches as well. I think, like, again, I could watch them coach all day.
I'll add Bryce Young to the list of guys who looks physically. He's just absolutely
goes without saying.
Massive individual. Maybe part of it he's wearing number 95 now, but just a massive.
He looks good.
Individual. Offensively, I got to see Juwan Sider coach for the first time. A lot of quick twitch movements, like not hopping over, like chopping the feet over the bags. Kind of. At the end of the drill, you had to like spin around, not spin, but like make a sharp turn around a bag and do the same thing coming back. Man, Jeremiah Love just looks different in that drill compared to the change of direction skills. Like, you see Jeremiah Love do it, and then you see Kedron Young do it, who's more of a, obviously that's not his thing. He's more of a power back, but
right.
It's like two different drills.
That unit is impressive though. I was watching them
very impressive.
The first day, and they did this thing where they tie a bungee around their waist and basically run out to the middle of the field and then do the eccentric on the way back where you're going slowly. And Coach Sider is very impressed. Like, he's like, use those hamstrings. He's very detailed in what these guys are doing. So I think he's going to be a good addition to the coaching staff.
I also I saw the wide receivers a little bit. This is kind of going back to yesterday too, but I think Jaden Greathouse looks a little more quicker, a little more sudden. So that's obviously good news because he's got the technique down. He's got the route running. If he adds a little more quickness to his game, that's a really, really dang good wide receiver. A couple of notes from the drills from the offensive line and the wide receivers. A lot of kind of screen pass drills.
I've noticed that the first day.
They ran a lot of screens, a lot of swing passes were very prevalent. But wide receivers were working on some stalk blocking. It was like chop out to the dummy defensive backs. Then you'd hear a go call. Then they would engage. That to me tells me it's a swing pass because you can't engage until they say go. The offensive line was kind of drilling. You remember the throwback screen that they hit to Jeremiah Love in the Louisville game? That was, I believe, the eventual game-winning touchdown. They were drilling that. It was like, pretend to engage, leak out to the flat, go call, hit somebody, and that's kind of what they were drilling. So I think based on what we've seen the past couple of days, that Notre Dame is committed to really developing the screen game.
Yeah. And then I want to mention, while I'm getting into some individual defensive players here, Leonard Moore. So there was this, they're doing coverage. It's DB on DB, little fade balls, not much to it. There's a ball lofted up, and Leonard Moore goes up, gets it, knocks it down, and I'm like, ooh, that was a really good play. Like Tay Johnson almost, where he just went up and got the football, drops down and starts doing push-ups. I don't even think Mike Mickens, Chris Ash, anyone that was over there said, hey, you didn't come down with that, start doing some push-ups. Like, I wrote it in the observations at blueandgold.com. I think Tay Johnson and Leonard Moore are the only guys that could have feasibly caught that football, and he starts doing push-ups. Just goes to show, like, the standard that I think that kid is holding himself to. He realizes everything that he did as a freshman. He wants to do even more as a sophomore. So just kind of seeing that unfold, a very small part of the practice, but that guy definitely has a very, very high expectation for himself.
Absolutely. Now, Leonard Moore's an incredible player. And we'll be seeing a lot of him over the next couple of years and next couple of weeks in practice.
Absolutely. Speaking of the next couple of weeks in practice, we will be here doing this exact same thing tomorrow on Saturday for the third day in a row. Then we get a little bit of a breather, but kind of thrown into the fire with Notre Dame's 2025 fall camp. So definitely stay tuned here on this YouTube channel and go to blueandgold.com for all of our written work. Nobody's covering this camp like we are at blueandgold.com with all of our boots on the ground. So that's Jack Sobel. I'm Tyler Horka, and we'll see you guys next time.